is Commander Christopher Williams. I'm the commanding officer of Strike Fighter Squadron 115, currently on board the USS Ronald Reagan. The mission of VFA-115, it's kind of diverse. It's to provide ready material to fight at the need, really maritime power projection ashore at any time and any moment within the Pacific AOR. The F-18 Super Hornet, with its conception coming from the Legacy Hornet, I remember about 1,000 hours ago in the Legacy F-18, and then switching over to the Super Hornet, it had a lot of diverse capabilities, and the Super Hornet in particular has a lot of air-to-air and air-to-surface capabilities in terms of, primarily, it's multifaceted aircraft that is able to bring superiority both in the air domain, in the land domain, and also the sea domain. So the three physical domains out there, it's able to try to get superiority from the power projection from an aircraft carrier specifically. So it provides quite a bit of capability and has one of the world's most powerful radars.
The F-18 is kind of built to be a workhorse of the fleet because we never really know what the specific mission of the F-18 is going to be. A lot of things going for it. First off, there's beefy landing gear that enable it to land on the aircraft carrier or do in-flight refueling, and then the host of avionics and weapon suite that it can carry. We can carry a variety of air-to-air and air-to-surface weapons. We take hours of preparation for a flight. Sometimes the briefs are early in the morning, and we brief for several hours about every portion of what you're going to be doing during that flight. There's a lot of stress and a lot of things going on. You have to put on your flight gear, you walk up to the flight deck, there's a blast of heat and it's hot out there and it's loud and noisy and you're nervous about this long flight that you're going to do. And it definitely really changes when you see the hard-working sailors and airmen that are rigging up your jet and maintaining it. You walk to the flight and you get a crisp salute from your plane captain, who you know has been working on that jet for hours to make sure it's ready for this flight. And the plane captain, the troubleshooters, all they care about is making sure your jet can get off the deck to accomplish that mission. So even though you might have had a long brief or a long day, you know everything's going to be all right because those sailors and airmen have been working relentlessly to make sure that aircraft is ready to go. And their positive attitude just is the last thing you think about climbing the ladder, and you know your mission is going to work out well because those plane captains really put their heart and soul into making sure their aircraft is ready to go. So that's a huge thing for us.
Being the last hand they shake when they get up in the cockpit is something I don't take lightly, and it's really nice just to be like, hey, I'll see you when you get back, and while you're here, you're safe. So, with me.
Keeping the Super Hornet flying sortie after sortie. In the Talons, we're manned at about 235 people, and only 13 of those people right now are pilots. So you can do the math and figure out where most of the sweat comes from to make this thing happen. It's not those of us who are blessed enough to get in the aircraft, but all the work that goes into maintaining those aircraft with highly trained and specialized personnel of all the systems in the airplane. We have lots of folks that know exactly what needs to be done, and it takes a team effort, and it takes a lot more time on the ground to make these airplanes ready than we get to fly them in the air.
My role within the squadron is to make sure the jets go up, keep them functional. Most of our parts will down a jet, so it's important that we keep our stuff working so that jets can be mission ready.
So the systems we're responsible for are mostly for a lot of our ECS stuff, environmental control systems. We deal with that stuff, the canopy systems, and one of the important ones as well is ejection seats. God forbid, knock on wood, the pilot needs to eject out. If we do our job correctly, we'll save his life.
I mean, you can't get off the deck without an engine, can you? This job is one of the dirtiest jobs in aviation when it comes to aircraft maintenance. But at the same time, this job is the reason those jets get off the deck. Anything else, this job is the reason those engines go. This job is the reason those pilots can get off the deck, period.
The most rewarding part about my job is going up in the flight deck every now and then and seeing those jets take off and knowing that my job has a purpose behind it.
The most rewarding part of my job is honestly probably watching the jets fly off and having them come back safe and knowing that I played a part and letting them be safe and go out there and do what they got to do.
It's just a mentality, like everyone walks around like we're just going to keep doing it. We're going to be the best squadron we can be, because you never know when like the war is going to start, right? And you want to make sure that you're definitely better than the enemy. So if you're working as hard as you can and getting as good as you can in the aircraft, you're probably going to make sure you beat the other guy, and that's the goal.
Oh man, if you're going to do something, you might as well be the best at it. So, you know, all the way from line shack all the way up, I think, I mean, if you're not striving to be the best, you're just what are you trying to do, really?
More importantly, I think that we should strive to be the best, and not necessarily have to compare ourselves relative to other squadrons to achieve that goal. We are in the business of warfighting, and not so much being the best in the fleet or being the best in the air wing or being the best on the Reagan is as important as being the best, because in war, seconds make the difference between winning and losing. Inches can make the difference between winning and losing. If we're in a competition with an adversary that is, no kidding, trying to kill us and hurt the people we love, that's why we have to be the best, so that when those seconds matter, that we're 2 or 3 seconds ahead of our adversary.
Why is it important for VFA-115 to be the best squadron?
Because they got me.
So it's important for VFA-115 to be the best
It's important for VFA-115 to be the best because I'm here.
All these squadrons, that you look at them from the top side, they all kind of look the same, particularly all the fighter squadrons. They fly gray airplanes. Some have 1 seat, some have 2 seats. You could look at them and say they're all the same, but one of the things that we particularly pride in this organization is that we're high-performing organizations that take care of our people and that we're family, and we truly do care about each other.
Overall, the command and my line shack, it's just like a family. Like, you have really bad days, you have really great days. And you got all different age ranges and everything. It's just kind of like learning to be with everybody, and I think that's rewarding.
Walking the shops when I go around and just, getting to know everybody and their different personalities, and just chatting with them. That's what makes us special, I think. It's just who we got here and our different characters, good, bad, and different. I mean, I think we're doing really good at being a family.
You guys can do fantastic things, and we do fantastic things together. When we stick together, we work really hard, we grind, we don't ask questions, we don't whine, we get to work and we hustle hard. And I thank you for that. So give yourselves a round of applause and soak it in for one last moment, all the things that you've accomplished on 19-1. Now get over yourselves and forget about everything that I just told you. And that tomorrow I will challenge you again with another full flight schedule. I will ask you to complete 100% of that flight schedule. I will ask you to complete that flight schedule without knowing what's going to happen the day after that, but solely focusing on what's happening at that moment. And just being in that moment, and not being in the next day, and not being in today, but the present moment. Once we get started, once this day ends, it's over. And that golden wrench is just another decoration on our wall for another wall of plaques that we plan to get. We have one more day of flight schedule, and it's probably the most dangerous and the most challenging day of flight schedule that we're going to have. Why is that? Because we got a lot of things that are going to be in front of us and a lot of things we have to look forward to. Every single person in here just wants to go home. Do me a favor and let's focus for one more day, just one more day of hard flying. Let's get after it, and then we get into the reconstitution. We are living in moments that you're going to talk about 5 and 10 years from now. You're meeting people right now that you're going to talk about 5 and 10 years from now. This is a fantastic squadron, and I've told you that since the first day I walked in here and took over, and I'm telling you that the reason why it's fantastic is not because of anybody that's standing over here, but it's all about the people that are standing over there and your work and your desire to want to give up and buy in and sell out. Every time I get in a plane, every time I take the cat, I get nervous, but every time I see your faces, I know that I have a job to do, and I owe it to you to give you 110% when I take that cat and I take that cat stroke. And then when I show up behind the back of the boat and I look good for you guys, just as you do for me. Every one of these pilots up here is nothing but a demonstration of all the work that you guys put into that jet before we go off and launch off that catapult. I wouldn't put my life on the line with another group of people, and I think you guys are the most fantastic people to work with that I've ever seen. Thank you for everything you've done. Get ready for one more day. It's going to be the hardest day you've ever seen, because it's the next day. Stay focused on the next 24. Let's get after it. Stay humble and hustle hard. 115, not 10, hut. EFR. Dismissed.